Hola, buenas tardes. Today we are going to be talking about O to UE stem changing verbs. So before we do that, let's review a little bit about what a stem changing verb is. Okay, so a stem changing verb is a verb that has a spelling change in the stem or in the main portion of that verb. Normally, when we conjugate a verb, our stem is going to stay exactly the same throughout all six conjugations. But when we have a stem changing verb, we're going to have a spelling change in some of the forms. Okay, so one of the stem changing verbs that you guys have already learned is jugar, which is to play a sport. And so that one stem changes U to UE. Today we're doing O to UE, so it's going to be similar. So when we stem change, we have juego, juegas, juega, jugamos, jugáis, and juegan. So we have that boot. So, because remember, stem changing verbs are also called boot verbs, which means that they're going to have a spelling change inside this shoe. And then outside the shoe, we're not going to have that spelling change. Okay, so we're going to go back to our original stem, the JUG, whereas inside the shoe, instead of having JUG as our stem, now we have JUEG. Okay, so we're going to look at dormir and poder. And just as a reminder, all stem changing verbs are going to follow the same rules. So we're not going to have like certain rules for U to UE verbs and certain rules for O to UE verbs. It's the same rules all the way through. So it's going to be the final vowel in the stem that changes. So we're going to get a few here like later on where they have multiple vowels in the stem. And so it's always going to be the last vowel in the stem that changes. Okay. There's no stem change in the nosotros or vosotros forms of the conjugations. Those two are outside the shoe, so that's how we know that we're not going to stem change. And then our endings are going to follow our normal endings. So whatever type of verb it is, that's the type of endings that you're going to use. So dormir is an IR verb, so we're going to use IR verb endings. Poder is an ER verb, so we're going to use ER verb endings. Stem changing verbs, you have to memorize which ones are stem changing and then how they stem change as well. And there isn't any rhyme or reason for like why this one stem changes and this one doesn't. You just have to memorize them. Okay. So let's look at dormir, which is to sleep. So my stem is dorm, and then my final vowel in that stem is the O. So that's the one we're gonna change. So let's go ahead and draw our shoe. Oh, sorry, I'll do that later. So we have duermo. So that O changes to UE. Yo duermo, I sleep. Tu duermes, you sleep. So we're still inside the shoe. Usted ella duerme, you sleep, formal, or he or she sleeps. Nosotros dormimos, so no stem change because it's the nosotros form. Vosotros dormís, regular IR verb endings here, or all the way through actually. And then duermen, here's my shoe. Okay, so inside the shoe, I change from my O to UE. Outside my shoe, no stem change. Okay, so now let's go through and conjugate dormir for each of these pronouns, or subjects rather. Okay, so hit pause, write your forms of dormir, and then translate each one, and then hit play, and we'll go over them. All right, number one, él duerme, he sleeps. Number two, las chicas duermen, the girls sleep. So stem changes here and here so far. Tú duermes, you sleep, stem change. Yo duermo, I sleep, stem change. Mis amigos y yo dormimos, no stem change. That's the nosotros form. Vosotros dormís, no stem change, accent on my I. Y'all sleep. Usted duerme, you formal sleep. Ustedes duermen, y'all sleep. Ella duerme, she sleeps. And los niños duermen, the boys sleep. Niños is just another word for chicos. I generally think of niños as being a little bit younger than chicos. So we should have a spelling change. You should have that O to UE in every single one of them except for 5 and 6. Okay, now let's put it into some sentences. Okay, so go through conjugate dormir into each sentence, and then hit play or hit pause, write your conjugations, and then hit play, and we'll go over them. All right, number one. Oh goodness, sorry. Okay, sorry, I had to go back through and readjust how I had this with the animation and whatnot. Okay, so go through these sentences and fill in the blank with the correct form of dormir, and then hit play when you're done, and we'll check your answers and see how you did. Be ready to translate each sentence. Okay, number one. Nosotros dormimos por 8 horas cada noche. We sleep for 8 hours every night. Mi perro siempre duerme conmigo. My dog always sleeps with me. So, number one, we don't have a stem change because it's nosotros. Number two, we do have a stem change because it is inside that shoe. That's that he, she form. Number three, duermen ustedes bastante? Did you all sleep enough? Stem change. Yo nunca duermo en la clase de español. I never sleep in Spanish class. Stem change. Mis amigos solamente duermen por 4 horas cada noche. My friends only sleep for 4 hours every night, so stem change. ¿Duermes tú bien por la tarde? Stem change, because it's two form. Do you sleep well in the afternoon? I do not. I can't take naps very well. Number seven. ¿Dormís vosotros en el mismo dormitorio? Do you all sleep in the same room? That D should be capitalized. Sorry about that. Oh, and I have hiccups. No stem change here because it is the vosotros form. And number eight, a Esteban le gusta dormir. And this one was kind of a tricky one because we wouldn't actually conjugate dormir here because to Esteban it is pleasing to sleep. So I want it in that to do something form. Okay, so now let's look at poder. So poder means to be able to, but because in English we don't go around and be like, oh, Mrs. Hake, am I able to go to the bathroom? Or, hey, Mom, am I able to go to the party next week? We don't talk like that. We generally translate poder as can. So it's that like I can, you can, he or she can. In Spanish, we don't differentiate between can and may. It's the same verb. So there's not anything like, oh, do I have permission to do this? You just use can. If you want to be more polite about it, you throw a por favor on there and it's good. Okay, so let's look at our stem. Our stem is pulled. So we're going to change this O to a UE. U is my, or the O is my final vowel. So yo puedo, I can. Tú puedes, you can. Usted puede, you formal can. Él or ella puede, he or she can. Nosotros podemos, so I'm outside my shoe now. So I'm not going to stem change. Vosotros podéis, you all can. So again, no stem change here because we're outside the shoe. Accent on the E because, not the I, because that's where the accent goes. And then ustedes pueden, y'all can, and ellos, ellas pueden, they can. Okay, so now, oh, there's my shoe. Okay, so now what I want you to do is you have some subjects down below, and I want you to conjugate poder based on those subjects that are given and be ready to translate each one. Okay, so hit pause and then do your practice. All right, number one. Él puede, stem change, he can. Las chicas pueden, the girls can, stem change. Tú puedes, you can, stem change. Yo puedo, I can, stem change. Mis amigos y yo podemos, so y, because it's an ER verb, no stem change because we're in the nosotros form. Number six, vosotros podéis, no stem change, accent on your E. Y'all can. Usted puede, you formal can. Ustedes pueden, y'all can. Ella puede, she can. And los niños pueden. Stem change again on all of them except for 5 and 6. If you ever are doing like history or reading about history and reading about the civil rights movement in the 60s, this verb was actually used as a rallying call in the Chicano rights movement. So Chicanos were the migrant families, primarily Spanish speaking, that were fighting for their civil rights, just like African Americans were in the 60s. And so this verb was part of their rallying cry, the si se puede, and that's the yes, it can be done. yes, it's possible we can have equal rights just like our fellow Americans, our fellow white Americans. So this is a pretty important verb historically speaking, but it's also an important verb for like if you want to go out with your friends, like can you go out? Yes, I can. So it's a pretty useful verb. Okay, let's go through and look at the following sentences where you're going to fill in the blank with the correct form. Okay, so you're going to go through and you're going to fill in the blanks with the correct form of poder. And then when you're done, hit play and we will finish up and we'll be ready to translate each sentence. Okay, number one, my subject is yo. So, ¿puedo yo ir al baño, por favor? Can I go to the bathroom, please? If I were actually speaking Spanish, I would leave out the yo because it sounds weird. Can I? And just say puedo because I know from my yo form that or from that my subject is yo based on the o at the end of puedo. Number two, ¿podéis vosotros ayudar a ellos? Can you all help them? Ayudar is to help. You guys don't know that one yet. No stem change though because it's the vosotros form. Elena no puede cantar bien. Elena cannot sing well. Number four, Miel y Ramón no pueden jugar al baloncesto el jueves. Baloncesto is another word for basketball. So Miguel and Ramón can't play basketball on Thursday. Number five, mis amigos y yo. Oh, I didn't change that one. Sorry, I just went through and did some copy pasting. Podemos. Missed that one. Sorry about that. So, mis amigos y yo podemos hablar español. My friends and I can speak Spanish. Number six, ¿puedes ir a la fiesta el sábado? Can you go to the party on Saturday? And number seven would be puedo. Mamá, ¿puedo ir a la casa de mis amigas después de la escuela? Mom, can I go to my friend's house after school? Okay, so real quickly, take a look at all of these verbs that come after poder. Do you guys notice anything about them? You're right, they are all infinitives. So poder is almost always followed by an infinitive verb because it means to be able to. Generally, you're going to have another verb there. I'm able to go. Are you able to help? She is unable to sing. They are unable to play. My friends and I are able to speak. Are you able to go? Mom, am I able to go? Okay, so it's generally going to be followed by that infinitive because we want it in that to do something form. You might have an instance like where you've already established what you're talking about. Like if you've been talking to your mom, or if you ask her like, hey, can I go to my friend's house? ¿Puedo ir a la casa de mi amiga? And she might say like, sí puedes. Yes, you can. And then in that case, you wouldn't have another verb afterwards, but that's just because it's like, it's its own sentence, like it's done. But if she were to say, yeah, you can go, then we would need another infinitive. Okay, I have some practice posted for you on Google Classroom to work with dormir and poder. You will have to conjugate these for your semester test. That is on Friday or Thursday if you're an 8A kid. If you have any questions, please let me know and have a wonderful day. Adios.